Hello and welcome in. I am MissKinghorn and we are back here in the Sims Store and we are back with the brand new pack. So this is Innisgreen and this lot is the 20 by 20 in Everdew, which is kind of like the tree house, like the lot in a tree in here, and that's where we are building today. Yeah, we are doing a tiny home fit for a fairy using mostly the new stuff, but not exclusively. So we do have some other bits and pieces in here as well, and you'll sort of see that as we go along. But first of all, we are working on the landscaping in here. So although we're in a tree, we're actually in quite a big patch of land, and I thought a nice little pond lake in here would be a really nice sort of touch, just sort of to fill out half of this. You might notice up in the top community it was going to be a community of fairies. I was going to do maybe like 2 or 3 mini homes in here. That changed when I decided to just do one and had a look at the size of the lot and thought no, it would be better just with one. Unfortunately, I started recording and then I had a power cut. So, yeah, I lost the first 15 minutes. So if you're thinking this is going quite quickly and how am I working out new items, it's because I've already been through all of the items. I've already built all of this and then lost everything. So yeah, that's where we got to in here. And note to never work in a power cut or in a heatwave. Unfortunately, more and more frequent. But anyway, we are now coming on to actually working on this little home here. So the lighting in this world, or in this little sort of neighbourhood, is not the best, I've got to be honest. I struggle with it a little bit. And as you can tell, I've actually had to go to night view to get a decent kind of lighting, I guess. And even then, it's not the best. So I kind of flick around with it when there. We've now gone to morning. It seems slightly better, but it is still a bit off. I don't think I'm going to be building too much in this world as a result. It's one of those where I think I like the idea, I like the concept. It's just not finicky. It's not right. It's not. Talking of things that are not right. Plants on the roof. I have move objects on. I don't have any mods in at the moment. This was literally straight out of the bat from getting the game. But yeah, you can see the amount of struggle and difficulty I actually have when placing these. These plants from the pack, they work semi-okay. It's every other plant. It was just not going to work. So you kind of have clusters of these plants of where I can place them. Anyway, I hope you like the colour purple, because this is a very purpley build. I was kind of going through the swatches of the new items, and there is a gorgeous dark purple swatch on like near enough everything, and I thought, you know what, this would work perfectly for what I want for this build. So we've kind of got some pinks, we've got a little bit of pink, lots of purple, and then just a few hints of sort of a dark kind of green, and greens coming through as well. But I think it all kind of works together in here to create a perfect little fairy home. This is a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, so it's perfect for maybe 1 sim, possibly 2. You may have to jiggle around with like the bed and stuff, because I've had to smoosh it into a wall, but then obviously they can crawl over the bed, but you'll see that later on when we get into the interior. So originally I wanted to use these sort of like paving slabs sort of things with the plants going through them all. It didn't really work because it has to be straight edge sort of thing. So we ended up kind of going with these ones, which are very similar, but they are slightly different colour, and they only come in like a pinky swatch, which wasn't really what I wanted, but you know, compromises had to be made somewhere. Anyway, this front little section in here, we do get in a few more little plants. I finally managed to find a lot of plants. When I started this. I watched one early access video, and that was the world overview. I hadn't gone through any sort of like build by or CAS or gameplay, any of those kind of videos. They're not, I tend to try and keep away from them as much as I can, but I did have one of the world overview, and so I didn't really know too much of the items that were coming. That said, I'm a little bit concerned of how much I'm going to be able to use these items over and over again. I feel like this is a very niche kind of pack, and that's fine if that's what they really wanted to do. I'm just not sure how much I'm going to be able to take some of these items and put them into Newcrest or Brindleton Bay or things like that. I'm just not sure how much I'm going to be able to move them around a little bit. So I feel like this may be a pack that we use very rarely, which isn't something I particularly want to do, because I like to use all the packs, as you all know from watching some of my other builds in here. But yeah, I think I'm going to struggle with some of them. Bits and pieces I think we can use, but for the majority of it I'm not sure. But anyway, back to this build, because that's what we're all here for. We have created a nice kind of little front courtyard kind of area in here, where we are kind of mixing around with some planters. We've also got the flower arranging table in here as well. I thought that was a nice kind of combo, because obviously fairies can help with like the plants and stuff like that in here. So I kind of figured a nice, maybe they grow some roses or tulips or daisies or whatever they really wanted, and then they can make little bouquets to sell on or do whatever in here as well. But now we're coming up to the finishing sort of touches on the exterior of this build. So we get in some gorgeous nice little lights. I actually quite like these. I feel like they're quite big and bulky, but they work in here really well. And then this new kind of wisteria kind of thing, it looks gorgeous in there, so I figured let's get some of that out, and a couple of potted plants, because well, that is a huge thing in this game. So yeah, now we're jumping on to the interior in here, and this is where I look at the size of it and go, this might not all fit. How are we going to do that? It does actually slightly change from this. I do end up having to make the bedroom at the back here slightly bigger, but you'll see that when we do it. And using a few other flooring, I don't particularly like the wooden flooring that we got with this pack. It just didn't really seem right. So we've kind of gone for this light sort of wood tone in here. I felt like the purple was quite dark and quite kind of restrictive. So I figured we'll just sort of lighten it all up a little bit in here. And now the kitchen is very small as well, but yeah, it is a tiny home. It is designed for one sim, so I think we can kind of get away with it. Loving sort of that green from the kitchen appliances coming through as well. Works really nicely. And then some open shelving, because the big windows, we didn't really have room for a kind of like full wall of cabinets and things like that in there with that, so that's all fine. And we do actually get a couple of cabinets in, but they're more over the sort of fridge freezer and things like that. And then normal clutter, this is the normal bit that I cut out so that you don't have to see me scrolling forever, but this is already a very short video, so I figured, well, I'm not going to cut out what you know I do. So yeah, and then finding that final item that I always forget, and because Better Build By has a favourites list, I tend to get it from there. It was only really that I even realised we don't have Better Build By for this build, so yeah, struggled to find it all the way down into the miscellaneous category, all the way down at the bottom there, but we got there. And also putting in a few little jars in there, because we are using a lot of the kitchen clutter kit, which surprisingly enough works perfectly well with this. A little bit of pink coming through, and some other colours in there, but I think that all works really nicely. A couple of light switches, and then I wanted to bring some nature in, so that big sort of leaf item, I think it's actually from Eco, but I thought it worked really well on that sort of wall. There was nothing really going to fit on there, so I decided that we'll just kind of place that there. One thing I am actually kind of disappointed, I think maybe is the wrong word, but upset about, I guess, is the lack of artwork and kind of wall decorations that we've got. We've obviously got the wisteria, we've got one kind of collage picture wall art, and then we've kind of got like the flower presses, but they're in like debug, like you normally have to collect them or like press them yourselves. And I think there's like a gnome kind of standing up picture. You can see here, that's it. 4 out of the 5 of those were wisteria. And then this is basically it. So you've got tiles, and then you've got the flower presses. We use a lot of them here, but that's it. And there's one that's locked, but I didn't bother to unlock that in here. And that's kind of it. And I was a bit like, I don't know where the items are for this pack. It seems in certain places a little bit limited. And then we have 4 bookshelves. I'm not 100% sure where things are and if we have everything, because we don't have a 2-seater sofa. I actually changed this sofa in here because it just felt too big, and we end up with some armchairs, which, yeah, you can feel my level of kind of disdain and kind of I'm not sure what to do. I like these plants, but they've taken up so many swatches, and I think that was one of the issues, that we have now so many items where they've broken it down, that there was other items that we didn't have because of it. I don't know, I'm not a fan of that, and I hope this is the only pack that they do it in, because I was kind of struggling to furnish a build with just this pack. Yeah, but anyway, positive note, the items that we do have are gorgeous. I love the kitchen. I think it has that really whimsical kind of feel to it, which a lot of the items from this pack actually do have in here, and it's something that I think we kind of needed. We don't have too many items like that in here, so yeah, I like that, but more of it please. And then this is the other thing, I could not put a TV on this end table. The small TVs normally fit on all of the end tables, not that one. I don't know why. I just simply don't know. Anyway, we end up using one from another kit, I believe, in there, and it works perfectly fine, and I just had to remove some of the sort of clutter around it. And now we've gone for soft pink walls, which I think complement that sort of dark colour. So as I said earlier, lightening the whole thing up and just making it a little bit brighter and a little bit more softer, because some of the dark wood sort of purples and that can be quite dark. This is where I struggle. There is not a single bed, which means when it came to this bedroom, I basically had to put in a double bed, which I just did not really have room for. I didn't really actually set out to do a single bed, but looking at the size of it, that was really my only option. But it turns out that I just did not have the space. So you can now see I'm struggling and rearranging and moving and jiggling around with this bed to kind of make it fit. It actually changes from this position because I realised I wouldn't be able to access the rest of the room. So yeah, this is now the final position because you can now access around the bottom in there. So yeah. Bedside table obviously is from high school years. It just had that nice green sort of swatch to it, which I thought just added a nice little touch in here, because mainly it's going to be purple in there as well. Not much really goes into this room. A lot of the items are either very big or quite small. We do get the mirror out, and then I'm looking for the wardrobe. We do have some weird kind of like half wardrobe, half sort of chest of drawers, but it just doesn't feel right, it doesn't look right in here, so I went for this kind of closed rack thing. I'm not a fan of it, I've got to be honest. It seems a bit weird as to why the clothes have to be in the middle and there's so much space. I don't know about anybody else, but is their wardrobe full? Because mine is, to the point of bursting. It just feels empty, like they don't have any clothes, which is not really what I wanted. But yeah, here you can find, I'm trying to find something to go on the wall. I have this huge empty wall section and there's nothing to put in it. So in the end, it just stays empty as a result. But now, you lucky people are going to see another bathroom. I'm trying to use these new items. They don't really work. So in the end, we have to go for the sleek bathroom kit, which actually works rather well in here, because I think we've got in some of the black swatches and things like that. It just kind of made it feel and work a little bit better in here. Having a rejig so that the shower isn't straight by the door in here, and then moving around with a few other bits and pieces, and yeah, mainly this bathroom is using that kit. But if you have enjoyed this video and this build, then please give it a big thumbs up down below, and you can also comment and subscribe to my channel. You would mean so very, very much to me. But you can download this build right now off of the Sims 4 gallery, or you can follow me on all social medias. The link to those is down in the description. But until next time, stay happy and stay building. Bye everyone!